Hi, this is Tim at the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Mosso at the1916company.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question lines. To inquire about these or any of our watches, reach out to us for pricing. Mosso at the1916company.com. Today we are discussing an extraordinary 99-piece limited edition FPJ Chronometre Resonance Ruthenium edition, part of the Ruthenium series of 5 watches, each made in 99 pieces. This model trickled out of the shop from 2001 to 2005 as Journe built out the 99-piece edition. Now, every version of the Ruthenium collection features a 40mm platinum case, a Ruthenium-coated white gold dial, and a brass caliber that is Ruthenium coated itself. So this watch, being the Chronometre A Resonance, has an impeccable pedigree. I've often said if you're going to buy just one Journe, get one of the 2 pillars of the brand, the Resonance Chronometer or the Tourbillon Souverain. This watch features a unique system that was a world premiere when it debuted back in 2000. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first, the fit and the sizing. So the watch is 40mm in diameter. It's only 8.9mm thick. It is 48.5 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, but because this one's on a bracelet, it has solid end links. It projects 56 millimeters from link to link across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. You can see how it wears quite comfortably, to be sure. Nice and flat and flush, though broad. These watches are large. Once you add the rare bracelet option, because of the solid end links of the bracelet, it has an incredibly broad stance across the wrist, which you can see well from over the top, but also from down the barrel. So I would recommend this watch on the bracelet for a wrist my size or larger, so 16 centimeters circumference and up. If your wrist is smaller, you might still want to buy the watch as a collectible, but take the bracelet off, put it in the box for safekeeping and future investment purposes, and then put it on a strap. And on a strap, this watch will wear on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. No problem fitting underneath the cuff. Now, with a white gold dial, a platinum case, a white gold clasp internal, and a platinum bracelet, this is a very heavy watch, deeply impressive. You can tell where the money went. We have integration of the end link to the end of the case and the lugs. They are polished links. You can see that there's a little bit of a diagonal orientation of the 2 layers of flanking links. Removable links are fixed by screws. I mentioned that the watch has a white gold clasp internal, and you can see that to good effect here. White gold is mechanically stronger than the other 2 golds, all 3 of which are stronger than platinum, which is why on a platinum watch, white gold is often used for fine and delicate mechanical parts such as hinges. And so you can see what you're looking at here is actually unplated white gold. If you've ever wondered what traditional white gold without the rhodium plate looks like, that's it right there. Take a look at the clasp external and then the clasp internal, and you can see the difference between unplated white gold and platinum. This watch, as you can see, does have some marks of wear on it. We are not refinishing it. We are not going to reduce the metal, and unless you are desperate to make it look, quote, shiny, we would recommend you not polish this watch to retain its integrity, original factory fabric, and value. So we've got this double folding clasp with the white gold internal, and then we've got the Journe logo externally. Note that it is a sequential close. One side closes before the other. You can also see this is the old days when Journe wasn't making his own cases and clasps. So you have maker's marks in here that are not those of Journe. Journe would later take on cases, dials, and movements, but these older non-in-house pieces are always worth more. And you can see that we have both Swiss and French hallmarks on the end links of the bracelet. So right here, you can see we've got the maker's mark of Eleanor. We've got the French eagle head. We've got the Swiss Saint Bernard. And again here, the mark of Eleanor, the Swiss Saint Bernard, and the French eagle, because right up until about mid-2008, Journe's cases were made by a French company called Eleanor, and Eleanor was outside of Paris. As a result, these cases were French-made, and in this case, you can even see that the end links of the bracelet are French-made, so they feature the French hallmarks on them, and then shipped to Switzerland for final assembly, they also get the Swiss hallmark. So just as brass movements are discontinued at Journe, so are these French-made cases and case components. You can can see right here, 01, that was the year the case was made. The year of case manufacture usually corresponds pretty closely to the year of watch manufacture, but this was discontinued after about mid-2005. They would continue to stamp the reference, which is R, but they would stop stamping the year of case manufacture. Brass movements were discontinued for series production, or for regular production, I should say, mid-2004, although examples of the Ruthenium series that were being built out to complete the 99-piece sets would continue to feature the brass movements with Ruthenium coat for a little bit. Rolling around, we can see integrated end links. We have everything in high polish, the case, the crown, which is Journe's signature unsigned double dimple knurled crown. There's another one like it up at 12 o'clock, more on that in a moment. You can see that the mid case is defined by the overlapping flange of the bezel and the case back, and that the lugs are fully integrated Calatrava style, and they sweep down almost 90 degrees from the horizontal of the case band. The dial is Ruthenium coated, but it is made of white gold, and then we have polished steel bezels framing the two subdials. And this polished steel look includes visible dial side screws both for the bezels and for the dial itself. This was once a controversial feature of Journe design. Although widely admired today and almost universally copied, it definitely caught on given time. Now you can set these two dials separately. That's not really the point of the watch, but it does work as a dual time. This crown is used for winding. Wind one, you wind both. There's two barrels, but they wind through a common crown. By withdrawing the crown, you can set the times independently. We have a power reserve indicator that works like the indicator on a marine chronometer. So this is an homage to the marine chronometers. So when it indicates 0, it is fully wound. That means 0 hours since it was wound, because with a marine chronometer you needed to wind exactly 24 hours from the last winding. Regularity of winding was essential to regularity of timing. So you didn't need to know how long it would run till it stopped. You needed to know how many hours since the last winding. And so that's how a marine chronometer power reserve works, and that's how this one works. 0 means full. Now the resonance system, watch these hands. The resonance system takes about 7 to 10 minutes to couple the two sides by resonance. As a result, the seconds hands might be locked together, but they might be out of position. By using this flyback mechanism after 7 to 10 minutes, you can synchronize the hands so they have this aesthetically pleasing sort of locked and synced pirouette action. They are always parallel to each other. And then we also have detail on these dials. You can see each one features a concentric pattern and then a pyramid at their center. Flipping it all over, now we can talk a little bit more. Not only is this a resonance, but this is what's considered to be a first-generation resonance, where you have the crown wheel, both ratchet wheels, and both clicks visible. So not only did the rose gold movement change the material of which these were made, but it also changed the architecture, particularly of the barrel bridge. We have brass movement, but it looks dark because it's coated with ruthenium rather than rhodium. Manual wind, two separate drivetrains. So we've got power, drivetrain, escapement, and balance. Another on the opposite side. It's really two movements in one case because they're not geared together or physically coupled in any way. Both are free sprung, adjusted in 6 positions, one more than a standard chronometer, and they oscillate at 3 hertz. 42 hours is the power reserve again. 30 meters is the water resistance, but I recommend you not test the theory. Now, in terms of the resonance phenomenon, this was observed on clocks and metronomes, and Antti Janvier did the most notable research in this field. And if you put pendulum clocks or metronomes in close enough proximity, they'll synchronize to each other. So here you can see that these two things have taken the same phenomenon and then applied it with lever escapements and balance oscillators, which was audacious. And this was the first time that was ever done in a wristwatch. That's why this was a world premiere when the system debuted back in 2000. Now, the idea isn't that they beat exactly symmetrically. They are synchronized together, but they beat in opposition. So as they turn, they actually do this. They're not turning in parallel, they're turning in opposition. And by synchronizing them in opposition and then orienting the hairsprings opposite of each other, you have these systems that are self-correcting. So if because of position or a shake or a shock, one of them is caused to slow down in one direction, the other will speed it back up because they are locked together and the reaction of one is usually the opposite of the other because they're moving in opposite direction, and their otherwise identical hairsprings are opposed to each other. See how the stud holder is facing inboard on each side? Now, in order to tune this, they need to be exactly the same in mass, exactly the same in geometry, and there needs to be a judicious distancing between them, and that's what this little rack and pinion at centers for. You can see that little steel half bridge. We have a rose gold pinion screw, then there's a rack next to it in polished steel with a set screw. So you loosen the set screw, and then you adjust this hair's breadth between the two wheels. Once you've got resonance, then you lock the set screw and you fix it in position, and that's how you tune the resonance chronometer. Now, the finishing here is actually quite a bit better than you would find on a lot of rank and file Journe watches, and I don't know if that's because it's early or because it's a Ruthenium model, or maybe a combination of the two, but the beveling here is far better than on the earliest Journe watches, but also on later Journe watches. So I don't know if this is just an accident, the guy who finished these bridges was having a really good day, or if something special was lavished on these pieces because they were limited edition, but they really do have incredible bevels. We have solarization on the barrels, crown wheel core, black polished screw heads, horizontal stripes, engine turning on the base plate, and satination on the wheels. You can see Eleanor-made case as well as case end links. Lots to love right here. This watch is the heart and soul of FP Journe. It would be the cornerstone of any collection, the capstone of any Journe holdings, and of course, if you're really ambitious, this could be the first of your Rutheniums as you move to collect all 5. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.